views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Well, coming up on today's show, we've got a very special show for you. We'll speak with Councilmember of District 16, Vanessa Gibson, and Bronx Community College Provost on Mayor Bill de Blasio's proposed budget cuts to CUNY, the ASAP program, and what exactly it means for students. And then also, we'll learn about how a not-for-profit organization provides universally affordable specialized speech therapy to people who stutter and also support their families in this time. And then in the wake of significant job losses nationwide, Bank of America has announced the 5 New York City high school juniors and seniors that are actually selected as student leaders. We're going to give you more details a little bit later on in the show. And then later, with schools returning in the fall with blended learning, we're going to discuss what initiatives charter schools are taking in protecting students and teachers. And then finally, we're going to speak with the executive visionary of Dream Center Harlem on how COVID-19 is actually impacting their organization. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now we're officially open. Everyone, and welcome to Open, and I am Daren, Jaime, and today is Wednesday, August 5th. You're watching Open, the show that brings you the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We also want to welcome our viewers who are watching live on MNN's channel, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Also, we invite you to stay connected to us here at BronxNet TV on our social media platforms. How do you do that? All you've got to do is go to BronxNet TV, and there you'll be connected to all the things that are going on. Well, a lot has been going on in and around our borough, plus across New York City over the past few days. We're going to take you through a few things with our Bronx updates. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio and city officials outlined citywide school open or closed threshold, in addition to a spate of strict safety standards for schools. The mayor stated at his press conference his decision of whether New York City school doors are open or closed will actually depend on whether the city is being below a 3% coronavirus infection rate. City officials stated just 2 positive coronavirus cases in an individual school will be enough to shut it down. Mayor Bill de Blasio also stated, quote, "The essence of this plan is the safety for everyone. The obvious plan B is everybody goes to remote learning. All students and staff must maintain physical distancing, as well as wearing face coverings, which will be provided for free, along with other personal protective equipment." And also in other news, the MTA is actually launching a free mask dispenser pilot program. We're actually boarding any of the designated 5 routes citywide that include 2 right here in the borough of the Bronx. Our Bronx Net reporter, Arlie Makoko, brings us the story.
This mass dispenser may be coming to a bus near you. Here on Gun Hill and White Plains Road, the MTA announced a pilot program with 2 out of 5 designated routes right here in the Bronx.
We want our customers to know that if they don't have a mask, or if they're using a mask that's broken, there'll be a mask available to you on board the bus.
MTA Bus Company President Craig Cipriano shared the dispensers that hold anywhere from 50 to 75 masks are coming to the SBS 41 that runs along Webster Avenue and the SBS 12 that runs from Inwood in Manhattan to Fordham Road, Pelham Bay Parkway, and into Co-op City. The other routes are the 63, 64, and 68 in Queens, as well as the S53 on Staten Island. And if successful, the program will expand to Brooklyn and Manhattan.
It's really critical that everyone on board that bus wears a mask to protect each other as well as to protect our bus operators. And quite frankly, it's the law.
Encouraged by an in-house survey that followed 15,000 riders between July 13th and the 16th, showing 96% of riders wearing masks, they want to focus on the 4% through the program, which will additionally be supported by about 60 MTA bridge and tunnel officers that will promote compliance and help make sure they're being worn properly.
Cover your nose, cover your mouth. Don't feel complacent when you get on board the bus, you're sitting in your seat, to pull the mask down below your nose or anything else. It's very important that we maintain, proper mask usage.
In addition to the dispensers, the MTA will resume their front door entrance in August for express bus operators now that vinyl curtains have been installed on local buses where polycarbonate sliders will be in place protecting drivers and passengers. They are scheduled to reopen in the fall.
So take a look. This is how it works. If you need a mask, all you do is you grab at the bottom of this dispenser and voila, here's your mask. You are ready to ride this bus. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
And thank you, Arlene. And that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We encourage you to stay connected to us. Open will continue with more right after this. And welcome back. The City University of New York has a very special program. It's an accelerated study in associated programs, better known as ASAP. It's a program that's actually helping low-income students to actually stay on track with their education, providing them with financial, academic, as well as personal support. Well, in July, Mayor Bill de Blasio proposed a $20 million budget cut to CUNY ASAP for their proposed 2021 budget. And joining us now to share a little bit more and provide further insight is the council member of District 16, Vanessa Gibson, and the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at Bronx Community College, Sandres Rápalo. And we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. And so if you can, Will, share with us a little bit about the ASAP program, because as I gave a little bit of an intro, if you can share a little bit about how exactly does the ASAP program impact students?
Thank you so much, Daren. I first of all want to say thank you to our consul, Vanessa Gibson, and our consul, Cabrera, and obviously the mayor and the leadership of our president, Dr. Thomas Sekenekbi. It has been pivotal because, as you know, when we speak about social security and when we speak about economic recovery, ASAP is at the center, not only being the engine of upward economic social mobility for our state, but also for our borough. So the $20 million restoration, if you will, help us a lot. Talking about access, equity, and the lifespan of what the ASAP student means, right? So as we know, ASAP helps students to stay on track and to graduate. So by providing a range of social and academic and personal support, including personalized advisement, career counseling, tutoring, waivers for tuition, and mandatory fees, as well as in MetroCards. and additional financial assistance to cover the cost of textbook. So having the $20 million restoration, thanks to the leadership of Cabrera and Gibson, it's really unbelievable helpful for BCC student. We are so thankful for the leadership. We are so thankful for everything that they do. Wants to help our students. It's our biggest joy. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I'm so happy and thrilled to be here today and to how the value of ASAP. We have to understand that ASAP, as we speak, it serves more than 25,000 students. So ASAP is mainly funded by the city, and we are so happy and thankful for this unbelievable opportunity.
Yeah, let me get the councilwoman in here and talk a little bit about this, because we talked about the possible budget cuts that it could actually face. I know that you've stepped in. I know that also that you're, working really hard to fill the gap. Talk about your involvement.
Thank you so much for having me, and good morning to all of you. And thank you, Dr. Rápalo. Thank you, Daren. I appreciate speaking about the CUNY ASAP program. This program has been such an incredible success for thousands of CUNY community college students. And going into the budget process, my colleagues and I all recognize the importance of it. There was a groundswell of advocacy on behalf of not just CUNY, but the thousands of students that benefited from the CUNY ASAP program. They wrote letters, they sent emails, they tagged us on social media, because they understood that the $20 million cut that was proposed in the executive budget would have a real negative impact on their academic career and academic success. And even though the budget was painful, we had a $9 billion budget deficit. We lost $7 billion in revenue due to COVID, and we had no revenue. We had a capital process, we had reserves, we had lots of cuts, and at the end of the day, we could not allow the ASAP program to be cut. So I want to also share with everyone, the initial cut was $20 million, but as we got close to budget negotiations, the administration came to us with an additional $14 million cut. Would you believe that? $34 million out of an $86 million program. We could not let that happen. So we obviously, we couldn't save every program that we would have liked to, but CUNY ASAP was important. And I really want to thank CUNY and Dr. Seka Nekbi, the BCC family. Thousands of constituents that I represent today will benefit from the CUNY ASAP program, and I'm grateful for that. And it all goes to show you, when students stand up for themselves and they advocate, we can actually be successful and win.
Yeah, and Dr. Rápalo, talk to us about what this actually means for students, because we know that they have the opportunity to continue in their education, but talk about the impact of what the program has been like before the budget cuts or proposed cuts.
Correct. No, thank you. Absolutely, I agree with you. The support of ASAP has been extremely helpful for the BCC family and obviously for CUNY as a whole. Just to give you an idea, speaking of social mobility, right? ASAP helping more students take advantage of the CUNY value. So 2 studies published in 2012 and 2013 highlighted the benefit cost analysis of ASAP. It goes back to what Consul Gibson mentioned, right? The cost effectiveness of ASAP shows the ASAP higher graduation rate will represent a long-term increase in tax payment by students who have access to higher earnings. So speaking about investing in your community and helping our student that, as we know, are underrepresented, it's amazing. It's truly talking about social equality, mobility, and that making that early connection, advisors and peer mentors is one of the catalysts of ASAP. Regular meetings with assigned advisors to review classroom experience, discuss personal goals, career goals, plan to transfer, connect with academic support and faculty. We are so happy and thrilled. And as a matter of fact, we were recognized in April 20, if I'm not mistaken, by the prestigious Innovation in American Government Award from Harvard John F. Kennedy School of Government, highlighting the excellent work of ASAP. And as we speak, The Economist stated, the article on social experiment stated that ASAP is more important than affirmative action. So those are very powerful words, more important than affirmative action. So why? Because, as I mentioned it, sociality, helping the students get to the graduation, increasing graduation, just to highlight the amazing work of ASAP. At BCC, ASAP has graduation rate increased from 7% in the fall of 26 to 20% by fall in 2015. So that's a big gap, and that's a big jump. It helped us to make that jump, and that is to the hard work of our campus president, Dr. Thomas Ekenegui. I cannot reinforce that. The wonderful work of our all ASAP advisors. And obviously, I have to highlight this, not because she's here, Council Gibson and Cabrera has been pivotal to making sure that we keep moving that needle. Also, our leader, our campus president, and our chancellor, Felix Matos, through his voice, our students advocating the Gibson mentioning, and it's truly important and remarkable to highlight when we unify our voice, we're stronger together.
Yeah, Councilmember Gibson, talk to me a little bit about that groundswell of really getting support out there and getting behind this, because I know yourself, Councilmember Cabrera, and other voices, but talk to us about how you were able to rally those voices together and make your collective voices known.
So I think at the beginning of the budget process, no one anticipated that we would face the financial challenges we did. But when COVID hit, it really turned our worlds upside down. We lost revenue, businesses closed, the city closed, and we really had to do the very best we could. Number one, to keep people alive, to find out and identify places where people could be tested, and everything turned to the remote process. So we've been in constant conversation with CUNY, with our chancellor, Dr. Matos Rodriguez and his team, to understand some of the challenges that CUNY was facing in the budget process. So we learned about the $20 million cut, and that really set forth the advocacy that came from the student body, from leadership, from advocates at CUNY that really did not want to see any cuts. Now, everyone understood that they would have to take cuts at some point because we just didn't have the revenue to save every program. We didn't have the ability to borrow money from Albany. We had no federal dollars and no state dollars. And the revenue stream from New York City was dismal. So I really think the voices of students are always powerful. And you also saw the movement around Black Lives Matter, around looking at diverting funds from the NYPD to social services. And I really think elected officials listen. We didn't always come to agreements because we didn't have all of the, resources that we would have loved. But I think when you get hundreds of emails every day, and when you see students as you are giving out food and you talk to their grandparents and they will tell you, my child is a student at BCC, or my granddaughter goes there, you recognize the validity of the program and the significance. And again, a lot of programs did take cuts, some 5%, some 15%. Education took a big hit, but we could not allow CUNY ASAP to take any hit. And so my colleagues on the budget negotiating team, of which I am one of the members, we made that a priority, along with fair student funding, social workers and guidance counselors, single shepherd. Those were our top priorities. And we said to our colleagues, we're not cutting this program. We have to find money. So ultimately, other programs did take a hit and a sacrifice at the expense of some of the programs that took no cuts. But CUNY ASAP is a program that is meaningful, that is worthy. And I'm really proud of the students that came forward, particularly during COVID, when so many have been traumatized and not able to function and carry on their academics. The ASAP program is stability for them and consistency so they can get through their courses and the stress of living life in New York City and not having access to food and jobs and income. So ASAP is the success, and we are grateful that we restored it in the budget.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much. And a vital program, of course, for Bronxites and for students who attend BCC, the CUNY ASAP program. Thank you so much for the great work that was done in saving that program. And so, Councilmember Gibson, thank you so much. And then also to Dr. Rápalo, thanks again for being with us here.
Thank you. Thank you. CUNY ASAP rocks.
All righty. Well, listen, we got to leave it there. We're going to take a quick break. We've got more open. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this. And welcome back. American Institute for Stuttering is a not-for-profit whose mission is actually to provide universally affordable state-of-the-art speech therapy to people of all ages who actually stutter, as well as guidance to their families, and then also much needed clinical training to speech professionals wishing to gain expertise in the field of stuttering. And their mission extends to advancing public and scholarly understanding that are often misunderstood with this disorder. And so, joining us to share a little bit more about this discussion and have some discussion about stuttering is the American Institute of Stuttering Director and the head of the New York office, Dr. Heather Grossman, and also the clinical director at American Institute of Stuttering, coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia, Clark Herder. And thank you both for joining us here on Open.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, listen, let me start off with this. We know that stuttering is a disorder that actually affects about 3 million Americans. And with 3 million Americans actually dealing with this, it's more than just stuttering that people deal with. And from what I understand, depression are one of the things that come with it. So share with us a little bit about the actual emotions and things that accompany people who have stuttering.
Sure. People often write stuttering off as somewhat of a minor nuisance, so to speak, when in reality it really affects so much of a person's thinking, decision making. As you said, very often there's negative emotions such as shame, anger, like as you said, getting depressed over it, because frankly it still tends to be stigmatized. Even though the country is so open about inclusion, stuttering is still very much misunderstood. It's often mocked in the media. Children often make fun of other children who stutter, and that tends to lead to a lot of emotional scars, which leads a person to spend a lot of their life trying to hide it, changing words, avoiding speaking to people, avoiding jobs where they feel they might have to speak too much. So it becomes almost this cycle of constantly avoiding living their life for fear of other people hearing their stutter. And it becomes quite a burden for many people.
And can you do a little bit of a favor for us, Clark? Explain to people what exactly is stuttering, because I think we see it, we can definitely recognize it, but how is it actually defined?
Like Heather was getting at, a lot of people think that it's a simpler problem than it is, and a lot of people think that it's a problem that's brought on by anxiety and stress, and that everybody stutters. In reality, stuttering is something that occurs due to genetic, biological, neurological origins. And so we do see it run in families. And in the experience of stuttering, generally, in the experience of speaking, people who stutter tend to either repeat words, prolong words, get stuck blocking on words, and struggle with the forward flow of speech. But like Heather was saying, it's far more complex than just the speech disfluencies they experience. Speech is a very public experience, and so stuttering can be a very observable and very difficult thing to deal with in front of others.
But also share with me of this problem, because I know that if you're dealing with it and you're trying to actually, get some help, from what I understand, finding a therapist and finding somebody that actually can help you with this is not an easy task. I think there's only 200 therapists across the United States?
Well, there are actually thousands of speech pathologists around the United States. The problem is that when you go to graduate school, you become certified, you get your master's degree, and you're considered a generalist in speech language pathology. And honestly, stuttering is so different. I've been a speech pathologist for so many years and have worked with people, across the lifespan with different speech language difficulties. And treating stuttering is so very, very different, because it is one of the few speech language problems that we work with that I really do feel, I know this from the research, that you can harm someone. Improper therapy can actually create emotional scars, which can actually create the struggle of stuttering, make it worse. So most people who are getting treated for stuttering are children, because children stutter with a much greater frequency than adults, about 5 times, at least as 5 times many children stutter as adults. And they tend to be seen in school by generalists who tend to do very outdated, somewhat traditional types of techniques, which, you know, Carl and I at the Institute have seen for years how many people come in literally in a worse place than they would have been because the therapy that they received was so poor. So the 200 number is the number of people who have actually gone through specialty training and a board certification process to become board certified specialists. And to your point, 200 is obviously woefully inadequate to treat the number of people who stutter in the United States. So most of them are being treated by people who do not have the specialized training. It would almost be like if you had a skin disorder and you went to a veterinarian. They would do the best that they could and they would know a lot about skin, but they wouldn't know a lot about human skin. And that would be a little bit of a problem. So it's that kind of a thing.
And Carl, tell me about, you know, right now, because you're in Atlanta, of course, and I know that we've gone through our share of stuff here in New York, but when we talk about Atlanta, we know that they're, you know, shutting down doors. So I know virtual starts to be the order of the day for most of America, but there is virtual therapy that's available, correct?
Yeah, and at AIS, we've been offering online therapy for more than 10 years. And so for us in New York and in Atlanta, we've been able to expand our services online to all of the folks who were seeing us in person pretty quickly and easily. And we've honestly been busier at both offices. And when I say New York and Atlanta, we're offering services to a much broader group than that because of the online services that we do. So it's really nationwide and sometimes in an international spread that we have and the people that we're seeing, because the work that we do tends to be talk therapy. And so we can do that like we're doing today online quite easily.
Yeah. And so I do understand that AIS also offers scholarships for people. So talk a little bit about the scholarship process that's available for those who may need it.
Yeah, I'm so proud of the amount of people that we're able to serve who I know would not be able to afford our services normally. And that's what's so incredible. So we are a non-for-profit. We run a yearly gala, and we have very, very, very generous individual supporters, corporate supporters. We have a wonderful board. Our board is very dedicated. Many of them are people who stutter or have children who stutter. And we raise money that's specifically put aside in a fund to help people who cannot afford therapy. Often therapy takes months, or for some people even years, because it is really deconstructing negative thoughts, and it could be years and years, a lifetime of negative thoughts about stuttering, and it can become expensive. So our scholarship fund allows people to basically say what they can afford, and unlike a lot of financial assistance programs where it's incredibly strict, and if you make over a certain amount, you're not eligible. You know, we're totally different. We realize that living in and around New York or Atlanta, or frankly anywhere at this point, it's so damn expensive. And something like therapy often for many people becomes a luxury. We do not want it to be that. We want it to be something that anyone can afford. And our program is really different because we really work with you. And, you know, if you can frankly only afford $20 a session, that's what you get. So, and I really feel bad that there are many people who feel, oh, you know, I really could use the services, but I would never qualify, you know, and, you know, oh, it would be too much of a hassle. You know, we make it easy, and we really do want to help people. You know, we're not just saying that. We really do.
Well, for people who do want to get assistance, I know that, you know, there may be someone who's out there watching right now that says, listen, I do want to tap in. I do want to take advantage of the services that are available. How can they go about doing that?
We've got our financial assistance information is easily accessible on our website. There's an easy application process. It's not super complex, and it allows our services to be truly accessible to people all over.
Well, Carl and Heather, we got to thank you so much for being with us. Got to leave it there, but I think that we've got some information out there. Hopefully, people get connected and find out a little bit more. And certainly, if they didn't find out a little bit more in this segment, I know that they can definitely go to the website and be able to do that. Thank you so much for being with us here on Open.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Be here.
Thank you. Thank you. And once again, if you do want more information about this, well, all you have to do is visit their website. And the website is stutteringtreatment.org. Once again, stutteringtreatment.org. And I want you to stay with us because guess what? We do have more Open coming up. We're going to be right back right after this.
We know that people are dealing with the health crisis, but there's also a lot of food insecurity.
We're giving out healthy food options, and that's what's key here.
If you're a senior, you have a disability, they'll actually deliver meals to you.
The residents are anxious, they're worried, they're scared, and they want to be tested.
When things were happening in our community and we couldn't get the help.
There's almost a presumption of criminality that attaches to your skin color.
The site will prioritize those who are at highest risk in the population.
If you feel symptoms and you'd like to visit one of these COVID-19 testing sites here in the Bronx, you may call the State Health Department's hotline.
Important to note about this site is no reservations are needed. This is a walk-in clinic.
A lot of us are out of work and looking for something to do.
We have the machinery and the skills to make large scales of these masks and gowns.
Take care of your people. It's going to go way further than we actually can understand.
Right now, employees like myself are just adjusting to the new reality.
Reporting from Bronx,
And welcome back here to Open. Well, in the wake of significant job losses nationwide, earning a paycheck can be a hard thing to do. Very essential for people, and particularly to young people, whether they're helping to support their families or actually planning for the future. Bank of America recently announced that there's 5 New York City high schools juniors as well as seniors who actually were selected as student leaders and have started their paid summer internship experience of leadership, civic engagement, as well as workforce skills building. They work in partnership also with the YMCA. And sharing a little bit with us is the Director of College and Career Programs at the YMCA, Jason Wolfe. And Jason, good to have you.
Hey, happy to be here. Daren, thanks for having me, for sure.
Yeah, so we talk about the YMCA, talking about college and career. Obviously, during the summer, it's a time when young people are looking for a job, and at the same time also preparing themselves to get ready to go back into the educational forefront. So share with us a little bit about your work at the YMCA.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'm the Director of College and Career Access, as you mentioned. A lot of our work this particular summer has been focused on summer youth employment program. So I really want to focus and put a spotlight on that because in the Bronx, we're providing support for over 75 youth and teens in our summer youth employment program, and we're providing them with a virtual and remote experience online. We're also working with Vanderbilt YMCA teens who you mentioned through Bank of America, and they're getting an opportunity to really work with our staff at Vanderbilt and really getting insight into what our Vanderbilt YMCA does, and they're given jobs and responsibilities that'll help build their skills.
And so when we talk about really these young people having an opportunity to have workforce experience, I know that Bank of America has one of the young people actually from the Bronx, and they're actually doing pretty well.
No, she's doing well. Desiree, she's doing a great job there at the Vanderbilt YMCA. She's been helping with grant writing, through the YMCA's annual campaign. The annual campaign ensures that no child or family is turned away because of the inability to pay for YMCA services. So Desiree is getting some experience with our grant writing team, and through that actual office that particular part of the program that we're doing, we're able to provide financial assistance to local youth and families in need.
What does this exposure actually mean in the life of a young person from your perspective?
I mean, I think it boils down to students are getting a chance to have a paid opportunity. Paid opportunities are important. It's important that our young people are able to work and get paid and build up finance for their families and themselves. I think being able to build life skills are super important, turning them into confident leaders and giving them a chance to practice that leadership in an internship is also important. And I also think career readiness can't be overlooked. A lot of times we focus a lot on college readiness and preparing students to go into college, but a lot of them don't get a chance to actually practice workforce skills. And I think that's what an internship can do for our young people, just that playing field to practice being an adult and being someone who's employed.
And talk to me about the college component, because that's very major. And making that transition into college is sometimes the hardest thing to do while you're in college. We know a lot of challenges also arise as well. Walk us through a little bit about the work that you're doing with college students.
I mean, a lot of the work we're doing is preparing students through our college access curriculum. We're pushing in to 2 high schools in the Bronx, Explorations Academy being one, and APA school being another, where we're actually providing college access curriculum within school time. And that allows us to talk to students about the college application process, how to select a college, how to pay for college, how to go about selecting a major once you're in college. And I think walking students through those steps during the school year gives them more confidence. And I think capping that off with a college trip or visit kind of just supports that as well. And then being able to provide teens with SAT preparation. SAT prep is something that the YMCA supports, and we've been funded to provide those services for teens in the Bronx at those particular schools. So I think that's the work we're doing for high school students. And I think eventually, as they move through their college process, they'll look back as that being a helpful hand.
Yeah, a very helpful hand. And so for young people out there, or a parent out there that says, listen, I like what you're doing, I like what I'm seeing, how do they make the connection with you and getting them engaged in these programs?
Well, we want students to visit their local YMCA. We want them to visit that Castle Hill YMCA. We want them to be able to walk through our doors and find that person, an adult, who can help them become a part of our teen programs. We have a teen center at the Castle Hill YMCA that's there for students in the evenings, Fridays and Saturdays, where they can connect with our staff. We also have staff within the school buildings at those 2 particular schools I mentioned, where they can kind of reach out and really connect with our programs. Our programs are free. So I think families and parents, when they think about our programs, can know they're going to get a great experience and at no cost. And I think that's important for them to know when they sign up for the YMCA.
Yeah. How has COVID-19 actually impacted you guys as well?
I mean, I think the big impact has come from the inability to connect with our youth in our group settings, right? At a teen center where we have students doing basketball, swimming, and those type of activities. I think those things, COVID-19 is kind of take away from those gatherings where we do connect with youth on that level in terms of large numbers. And I think in one area we were impacted in the spring is during our college visits. We had scheduled college trips for spring recess back in April, and they were canceled. So I think that really impacted our youth and our programs, but we were able to put some things together on a virtual platform where we were able to bring people in to speak to our youth about college on Zoom and the other platforms. So we were able to kind of close the gap in that area. But I think COVID-19 really has just impacted our ability to get together with our youth and speak face to face.
Yeah. And so as we get ready to get back to school, I know that a lot of young people have, issues and concerns, and as well as parents. What's the message that you want to send as far as your program and letting them know your availability?
I mean, we want them to know that the YMCA is here for them, and the YMCA is trying to find a way to connect with them safely. And we'll be rolling out our programs in a safe way, whether it's a virtual format, whether it's a small group format, whatever we're allowed to do, we're going to roll that out. And we're always going to try to keep the programs where they're youth-led. And we think if they're youth-led and adult-supported, we feel like students will really get the most out of our programs as school begins to kick off.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us, Jason. I was going to have to leave it there, but great work that you guys are doing, and keep up the great work.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Daren, for reaching out to us.
All right, Jason Wolfe of the YMCA. Want to let you know, listen, stay connected to us here. We have got more open coming up We'll be right back right after this.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Following citywide school closures due to the COVID-19 outbreak, Bronx public charter schools have launched impressive remote learning programs for students. Actually, with plans being made for students and faculty return and blending also learning for the fall, there is one initial concern. And that concern, how are students going to be taken care of and what's going to be done to take care of schools in protecting its students as well as its teachers. Joining us now to share a little bit more is the Executive Director of Classical Charter Schools, Lester Long. And Lester, good to have you back again.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it, Daren.
Thank you. And listen, let me get into it here because as we're getting here, I mean, first of all, we're in August and, you know, school is right around the corner and a lot of people are making the adjustments. Things are happening and literally from day to day. But talk to us about where you guys are in terms of reopening.
That's a great question. And you're right, absolutely right. Things are changing on a daily basis, almost hourly, which is somewhat difficult. We've been building a really great process. So back in March when we went to remote learning, we spent a lot of time thinking about how can we ensure that our scholars at South Bronx Classical are able to get the best instruction possible despite being home and not in the building. We spent March, April, May, and June working on that. We knew that sometime in August or September, school would open again and with a physical building and on-site learning would occur. We still don't know exactly what day that will happen. That's going to be up to Governor Cuomo primarily. But we're working on a program that emphasizes parent choice. So what we've done is we've actually polled and surveyed our parents and asked them, what do you want? Do you want on-site learning? Do you want a mix? Do you want remote learning just as you had in the spring? And we're working on that now to ensure that every scholar gets what their parents really want. We have some parents, obviously, on one side who are either immunocompromised or just scared and they don't want to take medical risks. So they're going to want their children to be inside their house learning remotely. But we have other parents who really want their child in school, either for improved learning or often because they need to get to work. And we do definitely want to emphasize the equity problems and crisis that's coming about because a lot of people in our community are not able to work. We want to meet both of their needs. So it's been a lot of conversation with our 1,500 parents and talking to them about what they prefer and then meeting that with a schedule that works.
Yeah. Well, transferring to remote learning, I mean, obviously for every educational institution comes with its own set of challenges. What's it been like for you looking at remote learning, getting your faculty up to speed, and then also having to get that transition over for students?
That's a great question. It was our biggest struggle back in March, and it's becoming our biggest struggle again starting for the fall. It's technology. It's making sure that all our parents have a strong, reliable internet connection. Some of our parents don't have it, or they're in buildings where it's a little weak. And without that strong connection, that gap, that tech gap that we're seeing over the last 20 years is just getting wider. So our operations team's actually speaking to parents every month, thinking about how can we get you a better internet connection. The second part is obviously the device. How do we get 1,500 Chromebooks to whomever needs them? So getting that right is going to be really important as we go in. The second part is going to be communication with parents. I mean, every day we're going to be expecting parents and our staff to be giving temperatures. Everyone entering the building is going to need to get their temperature taken. So that means a lot of communication with home. Your child has a temperature of 101. They have to go into an isolation room, and there's a whole process. So there's going to be just a lot of communication with parents. So I think now more than ever at the city, at the classical city and world level, communication just has to improve.
And when we talk about your school is a very special school. It's one of the recognition schools here in the borough of the Bronx and across New York City. But talk to us about pressure. Do you feel an astronomical amount of pressure as an administrator in getting this right?
The pressures are truly remarkable, unprecedented. I've never experienced the once a century global pandemic of the virus. I'm old, but not that old. I've never experienced the real challenges of the shutdown, especially as they're harming some of our parents and working through the financial crises. And then we have to deal with a lot of the social injustices we saw too closely in May and June. Getting all that right is outrageously stressful and high pressure, as you call it. But I think if we get it right, we'll be a model for other charter schools and for the greater New York City metropolitan area. Still a lot of work to do, but I'm excited and optimistic that we're going to get this better than we thought initially.
Yeah. What are you hearing? I mean, I know you probably have parents in your school that have multiple children, right? And so when you talk about learning virtually, I think about, okay, you got a brother over here and a sister over here. Maybe there's one computer for mom who has to be at work, and then you think about the brother and the sister. Are they fighting over the computer? What are you hearing in terms of being able to meet those needs for parents that may have multiple kids in the home?
Absolutely, that's that's very real. In fact, our parent survey actually asks, how many devices do you have for all your students? So any classical child, even if they have a sibling also in the school, needs their own device. And the other issue is, as you mentioned, mom has to work from home. So she needs her computer to make a living, but she also needs that internet connection. So if you have 3 people in an apartment trying to use that internet connection, you can have all the Zoom shakiness that we've seen and glitchiness. So we're working through all that, but I think it's a call for all administrators at the city level to think about this tech gap and think about how do we make sure that at least we've got a strong internet connection for every New York City citizen and resident.
Yeah. What do you want parents to know as we get ready to get close to the door? I mean, obviously we're here in August. Hard to believe that, we're talking about August already, given the fact COVID-19 seems to be moving slow in some instances. And then on the other side, it seems like it's moving just all too fast. But what do you want parents, what do you want students to know at this time?
The most important thing to know is we're putting safety first. We have a 3-tier plan: safety, equity, and then excellence. And classical is really going to be focusing on that first. So we're going to have fairly strict guidelines as far as entry into the building for all staff, for all visitors, for all students and parents, and just being patient with us as we make absolutely sure that that school building is as safe as possible from the virus.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to let you know, certainly we are glad to have you here on Open. The last time we were in studio, this time we got to do it virtually, but hopefully the next time we see you and check in with you, we'll be able to do it a little bit closer, a little bit more face to face.
I really hope so, Daren. I miss you. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Hey, listen, keep doing a great job that you're doing. Keep the kids safe. I know that it's really rough for you guys out there. And so I want to acknowledge and also thank you as an administrator for trying to get it right. I know it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but definitely keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Lester.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Take care.
All righty. Listen, we want you to stay with us here on Open. We still have more show coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back right after this. And welcome back. The Dream Center is a multifaceted transformation hub that actually discovers unlimited possibilities while simultaneously shaping the winds of perception. Now, the Dream Center inspires, informs, ignites, and then also works with the imaginations of visionaries and dreamers across a myriad of genres. And so the question is, how actually has COVID-19 impacted this particular organization? Well, here to tell us more is the executive director, and well, I should say the executive visionary at the Dream Center of Harlem, Desiree Elder. And Desiree, good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about the opportunity to discuss what we're doing at the Dream Center with you.
Oh, thank you. So for people who don't know about the Dream Center, walk us through exactly who is the Dream Center?
Sure. So we are basically, we do free programming to the community around creative arts, economic empowerment, leadership development, and now we're doing more entrepreneurship. So we help close to 1,000 different individuals who we call dreamers each year kind of walk through whatever they're wanting to do, whatever kind of idea, business that they're wanting to get out. And all of our programming is free, and we've been here in the Harlem community since October of 2012.
Yeah. And so talking about COVID-19, how has COVID-19 actually impacted what you do? I know everybody's had an impact, but particularly for you, how has COVID-19 really wreaked on you?
Well, interestingly enough, we were at the point where we were running out of space at our location because we were having way more people sign up for programs than our classrooms could provide. So what COVID-19 actually made us do was kick our virtual kind of programming into gear, which was something we had been talking about but had not actually executed. So now that we are hosting things via Zoom, we found that we have a lot more people kind of participating in programming, and not just now in the Harlem community or Greater New York, but we have people from out of state. We've had people in Canada who are now taking a part of the programming that we are doing at the Dream Center.
So was that an original part of your vision to actually be in Canada, having people all across the United States, or did actually COVID-19 actually cause this pivot to happen, and now all of a sudden you're really seeing, you know, exponential growth?
Absolutely. So it wasn't part of our initial programming because we were based in Central Harlem, and that was kind of the community that we were focused on. But COVID-19 just kind of set that in gear because virtually now it allowed for more people to join. And also we had great facilitators and volunteers who had moved away who now could facilitate, volunteer, because they didn't have to be in New York City. So it actually kind of expanded our base in both the volunteer and facilitator area, as well as those who could participate, which has been COVID-19 hasn't been great, but that has been a great opportunity for us as an organization.
Yeah. Share with us a little bit about some of the work that you guys do in terms of programming, because I know one of the facets that you guys focus on is dealing with the issue of economic empowerment. And right now, I know across the nation, that's a big struggle for a lot of people. We got 22 million Americans in the last quarter filing for unemployment. You've got a whole lot of other economic challenges, but yet and still, I know that you guys are really focusing on economic empowerment as well as doing some things with leadership development.
Absolutely. It's so interesting. When we first started, we were really arts-based, but we listened to our community, and so we're kind of agile and flexible based on what they need. And what we saw specifically in Central Harlem was the need for entrepreneurship, for skills, for quality programming that help people to build their businesses. So we began kind of shifting our focus into that. And then when COVID-19 kind of hit, those have been our most popular classes, where we're having 90 and 100 people sign up for anything that's around building your business, marketing your business, finances, all of those things have become really, really important as people determine what their next, kind of phase is going to be post-pandemic. And so it's been a really interesting thing for us. And we had the opportunity to be the pilot site in a collaboration with the New York City Small Business Services, where they actually gave us all of their programming. They gave us these course pathways that we're able to teach as a site. So now we can offer what the New York City Small Business Solutions is also offering in their locations at our leisure with our facilitators. That allows us to give business programming on top of what we already do all year long.
Yeah. So for somebody who wants to get connected to the programs, talk about your offerings. What do you have available for people who can now participate virtually? And as you said, it's not just New York. It's New York. It's the West Coast. It's Canada. People can come on and be a part of this all across the nation and internationally. So for the offerings that people can take part in, what can they get connected to?
Absolutely. So we do yoga and meditation if you're about your mental wellness. Again, we have a robust kind of programming of entrepreneurship, but then we also teach screenwriting programs and poetry programs, and we do all of these different it's kind of like a one shop, for everything that you might be interested in doing. And so we actually are going on hiatus in August because we did literally 30 different programs in 2 months when we normally do 70 programs in an entire year. We did 30 programs virtually in this 2 months. So we're a little tired. So as we kind of determine what we're going to be doing for the fall and how we're going to move forward, we are taking the month of August off. We also offer a 90-day business incubator called Live, which we are now pushing to 2021, but you apply for that program and we help you with starting your business, from building your website, buying your business cards, helping you with marketing, helping you with your business plan, everything that you can think that you need to start. We do that for 90 days where we kind of push you into the direction of being your small business owner.
Yeah. If you had to real quickly tell me, what was probably the biggest hurdle that you had amidst everything that you've had to deal with in the last few months?
I think adapting to the virtual space was, difficult for everybody, trying to learn how to navigate Zoom, how to teach facilitators who are used to being in person with people. One of the great things about the Dream Center, it's community-based. So you like being around people and being able to engage, and it's just so different when you're on a computer screen. And so helping our facilitators to still be engaging and inciting, even though they're not with the people, how we still get people to engage in small groups. So it was really about how we continue to build the community, even though we are not in the same space. And I think that was our biggest kind of challenge. But once we've kind of got past that, we've adjusted quite well. And so as we move forward, we're looking to how we can continue virtual programming and then begin wisely to allow for some classes to also be back in our space, socially distanced.
Yeah, a lot going on. Desiree, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I know you got all these programs.
Thank you.
It's been so crazy, and you're taking the month of August off, but you're taking the time to talk to us. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us and helping us to spread the message of the work that we are doing.
Well, thank you, Desiree, from the Dream Center of Harlem. Now, if you want more information about the Dream Center of Harlem, this is what you do. You follow them on social media. What you do, go to dreamcenter.org, and then also you can follow their Twitter page at DreamCTR Harlem. Again, DreamCTR Harlem, where you can get better connected to the Dream Center of Harlem. Well, that about wraps it up for our show today. We are at the end of the show. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us. And most of all, I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, of course, you can catch the Recablecast on BronxNet's Channel 67. If you have Verizon Fios, that would be Channel 2133, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. And so also, if you're looking for that brand new, fresh episode, my girl Rena Valentine will be back on Friday with a brand new, fresh episode of Open. Provost here on the set of the show, Daren, Jaime saying take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel wide open. Talk to you soon.